Hello, and thank you for lending your ears to Ratehub.ca's Real Money Talk podcast. In this show, we give you the real talk on all things money. We eliminate the fine print, we junk the jargon, and we explain how you can make smarter financial decisions. We're not millionaires, we're thousandaires, and we know you are too, so this show is for you. We want to talk about money because it affects everyone, rich and poor. Money shouldn't only be the occupation of the 1%, but rather the 99%. Avocado toast ain't the reason you're broke. Don't hold out lattes for paydays. Let's make money an everyday discussion. Hello, my name is Tyler, and welcome to Ratehub.ca's Real Money Talk. Appreciate you being here. Our guest on the show today grew up in poverty. After her parents divorced, and maybe because of the scarcity of money, she learned to budget to afford her favorite candies. But it may be her lemonade stand business as a kid that developed her never-ending work ethic. She has her MBA in finance and a Bachelor of Science. She wanted to become a doctor from University of Alberta. Next, she graduated with over $20,000 in debt and within 2 years had paid it off and started investing thanks in large part to her working at U of A, but also blogging on moneyaftergraduation.com. Hint, hint. Shortly after launching her site, she found out she was pregnant and is now a proud single mom. Her Instagram and Twitter accounts are always on fire, where she discusses things like rising tuition costs, stagnant wages, the increasingly unaffordable housing market, gender pay gaps, wealth inequality, the immorality of billionaires, and universal basic income. Her biggest concern right now, and I'm quoting her YouTube channel, is that we're playing a loaded game that's very challenging to win. But maybe it's why she's pumping out education about cryptocurrency, that it's real and here to stay, but warns us to tread carefully. What caught my attention and why I watch her Instagram stories is she's brutally honest, vulnerable, and loves the Kardashians. She's been featured in, oh man, are you ready? Okay. Time Magazine, Forbes, Macleans, MoneySense, Globe Mail, Yahoo Finance, BNN, CBC, and I'm not sure where that list stops, but it's where I'll stop because there's so much to get through today. I am genuinely super excited to have her on the show. Welcome, Bridget Casey.
Thank you for having me. That was quite the intro. Wow.
It was long, but there was a lot, and there's just a lot to cover, so I had to set it
that
up.
Was and the intro of a fan, not a follower. That was a deep, there's things in there that I forgot were posted on the internet.
Yeah, check that out. I'm doing my research. I try and produce a quality podcast.
That was thorough.
If it's your first time listening to the show or a long-time listener, we always kick things off with a money mistake or makeup. It's important to know that even people with their MBA in finance can make mistakes with their money. I'll go first. Honestly, I actually don't know if it's a money mistake or makeup. But I went into Costco the other day looking for new outdoor patio chairs. I saw, a giant bag of popcorn that's taller than my kids and a super cheap price on a box of Lego, giant boxes of chocolate almonds, and I left without buying anything. And maybe that's a win. I'm not sure. I missed the deals, I suppose, but I didn't spend anything. Anyway, Bridget, yourself?
Well, I've made a bad trade for the first time in 2021. I actually thought it was a year that it was impossible to do that, but I found a way. I took out an options contract that I'm sure is going to expire worthless unless something magical happens in the next few weeks. But no, I'm going to lose money for the first time in a stock market you can't lose money in.
Well, it's very interesting that you say that because, you have a lot of knowledge in the stock market too. So I guess even the pros it happens to the pros. It happens to the best of you.
Oh yeah. Good investors lose money all the time.
Okay. Okay. We will jump into our questions. And I thought we'd start with just the basics of personal finance. And generally, there's those three sort of common rules: earn more, spend less, invest the rest kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe automate the savings and bills. Before that, though, just even early on, even before you sort of set budgets and stuff, excuse me, you talk about money mindset.
Yeah.
Now, you've been through a lot, and I imagine the way that you think about money has changed a lot over the years, or maybe not. And so to the person in their car with their headphones on, how should they think about money? How do we get to the ideal mindset? Or maybe the real question is, what is that ideal mindset?
I mean, I don't know if this is ideal, but I know the way that I view money is I see it as a tool to get the life that you want. It's not inherently morally good, morally bad. It's just something that you use to achieve the life that you want. And I think a lot of people focus too much on managing the money that they have and that's coming in, and not enough energy on getting more of it. And that's a mindset shift that I went through in my early 20s, I think. And I really became obsessed with increasing my income. And I found it's just so much easier to do the budgeting, the investing, the debt repayment if you're growing your income first. So I think that's where people should focus their energy and their mindset, is bringing more dollars in.
So earn more.
Earn more.
And I guess now for someone listening that says, well, like, I've got a job, what are other ways that you could earn more?
Well, there's so many ways now, especially now that most work has translated to be remote. There's more opportunities than ever. And I know, like, I don't think I've ever had just one job. I usually had like 3 on the go at a time. Even when I was in the traditional workforce and I was working full time, I was working at the university, as you mentioned, I would use my lunch break and then stay on campus 2 hours after work every day to tutor students in chemistry in the degree that I had. And those are the reasons that I was able to invest, pay off my debt, and so on. After that, as I was doing my MBA, I was freelance writing throughout my MBA. And then I got a job in the second year of my MBA because I can't stop working. And I would go to work like 9 to 5. I would then go to class 5 to 9. And then I would freelance write on the weekends. And so I was always working. I was always doing something. And so there are plenty of ways to increase your income. I don't care if it's like selling things on Kijiji or eBay. It's like walking dogs for people. It's babysitting kids. It's washing cars. I don't know. There's a million remote and manual jobs, and there's so many, like there's tons of ways. I don't know all the ways, but there's no shortage.
Right. And you better have a lot of energy, I guess, too.
I mean, if you're motivated by the right thing, I think you find the energy, because what is hard too is when you are struggling with your finances, is that it's so depressing that actually kills your motivation.
Yes.
Like, you don't have a lot of energy to go out and do things because you're so unhappy. And so you really have to think, like, if I set myself up for success this way, not only will it bring in extra income, but it will make me happier. And one of the nice things about doing work is, like, if it's not something that you hate and it's not drudgery, it brings other things into your life. Like, I love tutoring because I got to socialize with people. I got to mentor young kids, right? Like, I got to do different things. If you're freelance writing, maybe it's a creative outlet for you. Like, I'm a big fan of using your talents and passions and monetizing those. So maybe you can teach music, maybe you can teach a second language. There's things that maybe are unique, and not only are those more enjoyable for you, but they tend to, like, earn a higher income than a job anyone can do.
I love that you said that, tutoring kids was like that became almost your social outlet.
Well, it had to be, because I was just working all the rest of the time. But it was nice. Like, I like to be around people and talk to people. I know introverts, that would be like their nightmare, to meet a new person every single day and have to engage with them for an hour. But for me, I enjoyed it. And so that's why it was something that I was good at. And I also could charge $30 an hour for it. So, like, there was no downside.
Right. So you brought like a bottle of wine or something every time you showed up to tutor?
No, it wasn't quite that. But I mean, you're laughing now, but like, I really liked chemistry. That's what my degree was in. And then this gave me a chance to do chemistry when I was like done my degree, when I wasn't working as a scientist. So this was something I really loved and was very good at and was now getting paid to do.
Yeah, it's winning everywhere. I love that. Thank you for that. Those are some great tips. Okay, I've got another one for you. And it's an extension of that money mindset, is that we often associate our self-worth, and like our identity and our jobs with money. This person makes more than me, so therefore they are better than me. And or being rich and is owning lots of stuff. I have like a note here where that line from Fight Club, the things you own end up owning you. Yeah. It's materialistic. And life isn't about that stuff. It's sort of gets you to that experience you're chasing.
Right.
So I promise there's a question in here somewhere, but I've got a bit of a preamble. So if we work in a high stress job or a job where you feel useless or insignificant, we spend money to relieve that stress or pain, and drugs and booze or something like that. Or maybe you spend money on superficial status symbols like a fancy car or an elaborate house to feel significant. So the first time, which brings me to where I'm going here. So the first time I really started following you was when you were showcasing clothing you had just bought.
Oh no.
I was kind of like, who is this person? It was like I don't know anything about clothing.
Okay.
I have no style. It was a bodysuit of some kind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
From the Kardashian line. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. So yeah. And that's what's so interesting too. So it's like money and Kardashians, like personal finance and Kardashians, like don't line up. So, and you've spoken about like plastic surgery you've had done. You admitted on the Learn From Us podcast that you were overbuying for your daughter, but you still thought you should buy more. You show the world what you're spending on, which can probably make some people believe they can judge the living crap out of you for it. But it's like such a fresh take on personal finance. And it's what I'm trying to do on this show is make money real. So for the person that tuned in, how can they achieve that level of comfort in our money decisions?
Well, there's a problematic narrative, first of all, just in the society that we live in, that is attaching your self-worth to your income and your assets. And that's actually a problem, especially in the personal finance industry, where everyone's like, you just need to bootstrap, you need to work harder, you're lazy, you're stupid if you like have debt, if you've made these mistakes. And that narrative is incorrect. And I learned that like very quickly as I entered the workforce and started accumulating assets and earning a higher income, because I was not a different person. Now, like I'm different in a lot of ways, but like morally, I'm not better or worse now than I was when I was like 19. And I was like a waitress at a truck stop on the night shift. Like now when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that job. But I was just like trying to earn money, and that's what I did. And I'm not like morally a better person now because I have more money and more assets and more education than I was then. Because it's the same human being. I'm the same person. So you can't tell me those are different moral things. I just did what I had to do with the resources I had at that time. And I think people have to understand themselves in that context and also understand wealthy people in that context. A lot of wealthy people are just born higher up on the ladder. So yeah, it's easier for them to climb to the top. Yeah. They're still the same person. It's just a shorter distance to get there. And so that's made me very aware of that in my own social mobility. In terms of spending on things, like, again, this is a narrative in personal finance that I don't like, where they're like, it's wasteful. People who have nice things must be in debt for it. They're so shallow. Literally, the point of me earning money is so I can spend it. That's why I'm doing it. Is like, if I didn't want to buy these things, I would not work for the money in order to get them. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with liking things. I don't care if other people think that they are frivolous, because it doesn't matter. I'm the one that has to live with them. So what do I care if someone else is like, this is a waste of money? Because I think it's just more important to choose the things that you like and spend on those. So people are surprised by what I spend on clothes, and I own Louis Vuitton bags and I drive like a really nice car. And then they're like, why do you live in a 2-bedroom apartment? And I'm like, because my lifestyle, like I don't care about my space as much as I care about my clothes. So you can see where I spend my money. So I think people have to shift to that, where they're just like, what brings me the highest ROI of happiness on my spending, and
I like
just
that.
spend on that instead of trying to spend on everything. Because again, you're the only one that has to live with your financial choices. You wear the clothes you wear, you drive the car you drive, you live in the house you live in. So don't let other people tell you whether it's good or bad, or if you're successful or not. Just choose what you really like and spend your money in those areas.
And yeah, so where you see value.
Exactly.
Right. Now you are an influencer, and so this entire podcast will be sprinkled with some of your posts. This is one that relates to this
I'm
topic.
nervous now.
I promise, like, they're really good.
Okay.
But anytime that like I would screenshot something, I would it was only because it sort of like struck a chord.
Okay.
You said the way we earn, spend, save, invest, share, give, display, and think about our money is personal and cultural. Most of our financial decisions actually have very little to do with math. They have almost everything to do with how we perceive ourselves and our place in the world.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I said that.
I thought it was powerful. And like, did you want to add any commentary to that statement?
No, I mean, I think that's exactly along the same lines that I said, because we try to be very rational and mathematic about our financial decisions. But the realistic thing we have to admit is that if we're going to get the best financial return, it would be to stay in your house and never spend any money. And that's just not how people live their lives. So all of these weird debates about getting a cheaper car or doing this, like, it's nonsense, because it's not for a better mathematical return. You're really arguing the emotional ROI and the financial ROI, and you're trying to balance those. And every single financial decision is a balance between how do I maximize my happiness with what I can afford.
There's I don't know how to attribute the quote, but there's happiness is the absence of striving for happiness.
Oh, that's profound.
But yeah, I think it's a really old quote, but if you're not chasing happiness, but you're in line or you're aligned with your decisions, then maybe that's okay. Because I drive a used car that I didn't spend very much money on because I don't value cars. It's very much a point A to point B for me. Yeah, I don't know what I value though, really. Just don't spend much money.
Well, and that's okay too. Like, there's nothing wrong with that either. I think what gets problematic in personal finance is people use it as a tool to try to feel superior to other people, where they're like, well, you're wasting money on this and I would never do that because I'm responsible and smart or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just sick of that.
Yes. And so I can't tell you how much I love the stuff that you're pumping out, because I think it speaks to exactly that. So, in the intro to this episode, we talk about avocado toasts aren't the reason you're broke, and don't hold out lattes for paydays. I spend money on coffee.
There you go. Perfect.
I got to get to this topic, and it's a bit touchy.
Okay.
We need to talk about men.
Okay.
You had a tweet. I am so blessed there are so many men on the internet willing to explain finance to me, especially when I don't even ask. Without them, I would continue to rely on my own education, experience, and expertise, but I would be forced to do so without being constantly annoyed. And I assume this must happen a lot, because in another post you said, I am not a damsel in distress and do not need to be corrected, educated, or helped with most money topics. When I do need help or extra information, I'll ask. If I didn't ask, don't explain, especially if you're going to provide the wrong information. Women have a place in money and are allowed to take up space and share their expertise in this field. And then you said some very tangible, like tactical takeaways, like couples should not split expenses 50-50 unless the woman is earning 120% of what the man is to account for the gender wage gap. That division of wealth should be equitable, not equal. Mm-hmm. And apparently one man got so upset you blocked him on Instagram, and then he sent his wife to DM you.
Yeah.
Now, so a problem without a solution, my mom always told me, is just a complaint. I know that you're not a complainer. So what is your solution? And it's a two-part question, because what do you want to say to the men that would disagree with this statement? And do you have a proposal to close that gender gap or financial disparity?
Well, no, not on this podcast. That's a really big ask. Yeah, so there's many layers to this. And the reason often that I tweet or I Instagram these kind of comments or dialogues is not because I necessarily expect people, like, I can't think of any couple that the woman's like, well, I earn 120% what you do, so now we can split things 50-50. Like, I don't think that people will do that. But the reason I lay it out is because I want people to think about it, because the first thing that always happens is an emotional reaction. It's usually shock or rage. And then when they're like about to furiously like type their rebuttal, they think about it and they realize the math is actually correct. And then what's interesting is about it is it suddenly makes the patriarchy and how things are set up in the gender wage gap look insanely stupid. Because as soon as we reverse them, people are like, that's insane. And then you're like, wait, that's how it is, but the other way around. And that's more what I'm trying to get people to do, is to first of all be aware that it exists. And then we can move forward from there, because again, so much of this is cultural. Like, even when men are explaining things to me that I don't need explained, I didn't ask for, they're not coming from a place they're not actually intending to annoy me. They're not trying to put me down. They're not trying to tell me I'm dumb. They think that they're being helpful. They're really like, I'm going to share my knowledge with this woman and she'll be so grateful. And they like, this is a cultural dynamic that we're all socialized into from very young. So they don't know. And that's why I'm trying to speak out about it. So maybe next time they do it, they'll pause and be like, wait, am I playing into this system that is making women feel smaller and infantilized in a space like personal finance? And that's not really fair to them. So I want men to pause. I don't think they're they do annoy me, but I don't think that they're terrible. I just want them to like slow down. And I want other people to acknowledge these gender wage and especially the gender wealth gap, because our focus is so much on the gender wage gap. We don't realize that that is leading to much bigger gender wealth gap. And it's like, how do we correct for that in government policy? How do we correct for that in our own homes, where we are dividing labor and people are splitting child rearing duties, or I'm going to move across the country to follow you for your career? Like, we have to think of where we're putting our energy and our relationships really filling us the way that we need to be emotionally nourished. And I don't think it's something that will be fixed in my lifetime, unfortunately. I do love that Chrystia Freeland's our like finance minister. That makes things a little better for me. Like, I feel like she's working on Justin Trudeau in a way that I would as well. But I don't think that it's perfect. But I like, a lot of people don't even know about the gender wage gap. And like I said, a lot of men don't even know that they're annoying women by explaining finance to them. So at least if I like make a dozen of them aware, I've spared 100 women a fight with their boyfriends.
I think, have you spared them? I don't know. I think you may have spurred a fight with the...
Yeah, I probably start more of those, because women are like, oh, I never thought about it this way, and then get angry at their spouse.
You're paying tonight. There's a great article out there. I can't remember if it's a comic or something about the mental load.
Yeah. And
it really, this is a few years ago, and it really opened my eyes. So, I mean, my wife makes more money than I do. And I am aware. And then one of the things that happens, I notice, is that she's constantly, I don't know if it's her personality or if it's like sort of cultural, but she's always sort of, washing the dishes or like taking the first steps to like bathe the kids or cook dinner or, get kids' lunches ready for tomorrow. And I have to physically like stand up to sort of say, hey, like, let me do some of this. Mm-hmm. And so even I think it's culturally almost ingrained. And so I think men have to be responsible to take that first step into sort of saying, there is disparity here.
Yes.
And next, not to get too political, but so Chrystia Freeland, if she, if she puts policies in place, what might those policies be that you would like to see?
Well, she's working on them. So the $10 a day universal childcare plan across Canada is a big one. That will help a lot of women return to the workforce, or at least make a real choice about whether or not they want to stay home instead of being forced into it by losing their income. So if we can roll out that a national childcare plan that's affordable, that would be amazing. She's also very interested in supporting women-led businesses. She's a huge advocate of female entrepreneurs, and she's very outspoken about putting more money into that. So I am hoping and expecting that we'll see more of that in the years to come.
Yeah, that would be nice. My kids finally got out of daycare, and it's like a windfall of cash.
Right.
Suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like Quebec has, Quebec's childcare plan is much better than the rest of Canada's, I believe. And, the wait lists on daycares are incredible.
Yeah.
And often the mothers are the ones that are looking at daycares and spending that time to figure out and budget for it and things like that. So, yeah, thank you for bringing awareness to these topics. And with that, I thought we'd jump into what I want to call a levity break, but sometimes there are some deeper, maybe it's a gravity break as well.
Okay.
So these are some of your posts that you have made.
Your laugh makes me so nervous. That's you're like, these are some of your posts.
But it's. I'm sorry. It's meant to lighten the mood.
Okay.
But before we get into this, to that person that's listening, I want you to stay tuned because we're going to get through to the most important takeaways of this whole podcast soon. And really, I want you to stay tuned for that. So anyway, if you can just quickly add some commentary to this. The poverty line is set arbitrarily low by governments and economists to gaslight people who are struggling to survive into believing that they do not deserve social safety nets because they do not need them. Please explain.
Well, if you look at how wages have moved in relation to the cost of everything else, it's not much. And we are maintaining these poverty lines as adjusted relative to the average income. That was something that surprised me because I was like, how do we set this? And they determined lower class and poverty line is based on what the average everyone is earning. But if everyone's incomes are not going up with everything else, then the poverty line's not being raised, even though the costs of everything are going up. And so what we end up with is a lot of people that think that they should be doing well, or they're even in the middle class or heading towards upper middle class. And they're like, why am I struggling so much financially? And they're reading these stats and they're like, well, I'm not poor, but I'm still struggling. So, I mean, we still got to give supports to the poor, and someone that makes $100,000 doesn't deserve any help with things. And they even talk themselves out of needing financial help because they're just unaware of how inflation and salaries they just don't align. And our poverty line is fake. It's way too low. I frequently tweet that it should be closer to $50,000 or $60,000 a year. And people hate that because then people are like, oh, but then I'm living in poverty.
Yeah, that's a statement.
And I'm like, well, but everything's gone up. Tuition's gone up 300%.
Yeah.
So we're yes, it's difficult conversations because again, this goes back to the start of this conversation where it's tied to our self-worth, and we have to untie money from our self-worth. You're not a bad person if you don't have money, or if you have a lot of money. But you have to be realistic of what money can buy and what is appropriate to support the citizens to ensure a healthy nation.
People spend money, and if they can't spend money, then the economy sort of slows.
It's bad for everyone. It's bad for everyone, and it's stressful on families. Yeah,
and we don't in a country such as ours. I'm trying to stay a little bit away from politics, but it'd be nice if there were better programs in place, or the programs that are there were just
or they
improved.
just stop being cut. Because that's the problem we're running into now, is they're being reduced. So actually, there even used to be better programs, and all their budgets are being cut.
Yeah, my wife works for the city of Toronto public health, and she so for years now she's been sort of working with people on OW. Ontario Works. It's sort of like a welfare program to sort of go into their homes, and some of the stuff she's seen. I won't get too into detail, but it's pretty sad. And she's there to just support their health, their well-being. And so she'll provide pamphlets and takeaways and stuff like that. And I mean, the people are so grateful and reach out to her like long after they're done with her, just to give an update because they love it. And then COVID hit, and that whole program was shut down.
And that's been a huge problem. And that's another reason why like wages haven't kept up, because we used to have more social supports at every spot. And people are just like, why am I struggling so much? And the system is working against you.
Yeah. Okay. So number 2, it sort of bleeds in. What we think sustains our economic system: hard work. What actually sustains our current economic system: unpaid labor of women at home, white supremacy, the patriarchy, generational wealth, environmental destruction, failure to implement a fair tax system, and poor. Bridget, why did you post this? Give me the underlying message behind it all.
Because it's true. I think one of the worst narratives, and in personal finance and just economics in general, is that capitalism is a neutral system. It's just based on numbers. The free market will take care of everything, when time and time again, all the research and data shows that that's not true, because certain groups are succeeding, and usually at the expense of others. And we're paying an extremely high toll to the mental health and livelihoods of people, and also the environment. And so pretending that money is just going to work itself out because the free market has there's no inherent biases is wrong. We built a system with bias. The people that made it were biased, and those advantages are baked in, and they're not going anywhere. You need to change the system.
So, okay, these aren't yours.
Oh, okay.
But I thought they were good enough that I would love your insights on these. I don't get people like Bezos. If I had $1 billion, I would impulsively start fixing shit. Homeless vets? I don't think so. Hungry children? Not on my watch. He could be Batman. What a waste. And then CNN's headline, world's largest tax avoider takes joyride to second place. Your commentary on billionaires and space travel and...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why those people are as bad as they are. Like, I don't know, because I'm like the other person where I'm like, if I just had billions of dollars at my disposal, I would use it to start fixing things. I found that as my income has increased, one of the things that really has increased in it has been giving to charitable organizations, to political organizations. And I can't imagine having that much wealth and hoarding it. But again, they're American. This is a American cultural that your money reflects your intelligence, you're hardworking, that you're morally good, the more of it you have. And if we reinforce that narrative, and as people that accumulate more and more, and we tell them, oh my God, you're so good, you're so amazing because you have all this, they're going to keep going in that direction. If we start going like, this is deplorable that you have that much wealth and you're leaving these many people suffering, like, you're a horrible person and it's a disgrace that you like live on this planet. So yeah, get out of here and go to space. That will change the conversation, because the idea that people will always behave morally, I mean, it's not. And you have to be a bad person to get that amount of wealth. Like, you have to be okay with exploiting people, exploiting the environment to get to that level of wealth. And then when they get there, we're like, why are these people so bad? It's like, look at the journey. Like, they could have not gone on any other path, unfortunately.
That's a very sad reality. Yeah. Thank you for donating what you can.
Yeah. I can't make Bezos be good, though. He's not a good guy.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah. So, but what you like? What are we to do, really?
The law. But the problem is, like, we've let the wealthy have so much power, they can manipulate the law, or they can escape to space. Like, if they don't like the rules on the planet, they're like, I will just leave the planet. Like, we've created monsters. This is our fault. This is financial deregulation in the 80s made this. It's our fault.
Right.
These are the consequences.
My last one, because I just want to try and keep on time. If you bought a Tesla Model S in 2012, your $77,000 car would be worth approximately $40,000 today. If you had invested the same $70,000 in Tesla stock, you would have over $7 million today.
Yeah. I replied to that. Did you get my reply on that one? Where I said, yeah, but then you wouldn't have a car. like people, we just don't have these like binary decisions. Like, you need to have a vehicle in your life. Also, who would ever dump $77,000 into Tesla stock and be like, this is a really good idea?
This is good.
Especially when they needed a vehicle. People usually finance their cars, so it's not a good comparison. And again, it neglects the fundamental difference where in one scenario you have a vehicle to drive to work or whatever, and another you don't. And again, brings us back to the original conversation that the point of your life is not just to amass as much money as you possibly can. It's to live the life you want and get the things you want. And if that's a Tesla, just buy the Tesla. If it makes you happier than numbers in your bank account, just buy the Tesla.
I like it. But, well, not but. Buy the Tesla if you want, because it brings you joy.
And if you like Elon Musk. Like, if you hate Elon Musk, then, I don't recommend it. Let's stop giving that boy money. But
apparently he's made more off green incentives.
Oh, yeah. And Bitcoin.
Then he has like selling cars. And right. So yeah, that was maybe manipulation to a certain degree, the Bitcoin thing.
Billionaires manipulating the markets?
What? Say what? Yeah. Now, at the same time, it's like we shouldn't feel shame for not understanding that stock market, though, either, right? It'd be nice if financial literacy was more common knowledge, let's say. I wanted to get into questions about the market and sort of where your expertise can really sort of shine.
Sure.
Especially for those people, that have, tuned into this podcast and because they want to succeed with money. So share this with your friends, because this is going to be important, I think, for everybody. And if you're the person whose friends shared it with them, let's hope it inspires you to get smart about money and start taking the steps in the right direction. So it's not, Bridget, you're going to tell me if it's easy or complicated or whatever. Okay. So no pressure. So at the basics, I've pulled some stats together. A weekly investment to become a millionaire. These are loose stats, of course, but roughly. If you start at age 20, it's $26 a week. Start at age 25, $45 a week. Age 30, $70 a week. And then age 40, it's $190 a week. So, the first step is to start early, I guess. Apparently, Warren Buffett's first investment into the market was, okay, for those listening, just in case, Warren Buffett is, a very wealthy investor. He bought like 6 shares at $38 a share, or like $228 was his first investment into the stock market. And so we shouldn't despise small beginnings.
Except that was like in 1960, right? So it's probably like $3,000.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Now, one of the things that you've spoken about is Coast Fire. For those people that have no idea, can you tell us what FIRE is, one, And two, what is Coast Fire?
Is an acronym that stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And it's essentially the process of accumulating enough assets and investments that will generate an income to replace your salary so you can leave the workforce early. So well before age 65 or a traditional retirement age, and without the need for any kind of supports because you have your own investments. And many people in the FIRE community are just trying to get their FIRE number at whatever age. Some people leave in their 30s or 40s, like well before retirement. Others, it takes longer, but it's essentially just an early retirement from financial independence. Coast FIRE maintains the traditional retirement age, which is 65 or 67, depending on when you're calculating it. And it's the process of accumulating as many assets as you need in your investment accounts so that even if you contribute no more, like not another dime, it will grow to the amount you need by age 65. And so if you start investing in your 20s or 30s, your Coast FIRE number is very, very low. In your 20s, Unreal. It's like under $100,000. So if
it's
you can
hard.
amass that, which it isn't easy. Yeah, it isn't easy, but it's a small number when you think I only have to do that one time and then I'm done saving for retirement. And into your 30s, it is more, and of course this varies by how much you want to retire by, but essentially the idea is you accumulate that amount and then you can coast to retirement because it doesn't matter what happens thereafter. You don't contribute your financial security.
But you're still working. What. You're just not investing. So you're taking the money that you earn and buying a Tesla.
Yeah. Exactly. You can do whatever you want.
Are you, have you hit Coast FIRE?
Yeah, I hit Coast FIRE a few years ago. I actually hit Coast FIRE before I knew what Coast FIRE was. And then I put my numbers into a now I remember the number was $85,000. So I can't remember. I think it was when I was age 28 or 29. I can't remember, but I was there and I was like, oh, this is crazy. I guess I'm done. And it was like, I didn't stop contributing to my accounts. Actually, what I did is I just raised my retirement target because you can't stop. But it relieved so much financial stress to just know that I'm okay no matter what happens. And it was actually very good that I hit that number because then, as you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I had an unplanned pregnancy. And in the years that my baby was small, I couldn't work as much. I couldn't contribute to my retirement accounts. I felt really guilty, but it actually didn't matter because I had set myself up so well early on. So everything's just easier if you Coast FIRE. It's for lazy people that want to just take a defensive position.
That's sort of my style for sure. What?
Yeah.
Now, so yeah. Now that you've hit it though, but like you still, I mean, so you increase your number, whatever that number is. I'm not, I don't want to get into too many details. So are you planning to work until you're 65?
I haven't decided yet. So originally my Coast FIRE was 1 million by age 65. That's the target of my portfolio. When I hit it, I upped it to 3 million and then I did hit that. So now I don't actually know what I'm going to do. And just to clarify, that doesn't mean I have $3 million in my portfolio. I don't. It just means I accumulated enough. Yeah, it will grow to that. But I haven't stopped saving. So I guess right now, the consideration is, do I want to retire early? Do I want to do something else? The great thing about those accounts, like a TFSA, is so flexible. I'm allowed to take money out for any reason. So there's no reason not to put cash aside for it. But yeah, I have a different option now where it's do I want to take an early retirement or do I want to do something else?
Financial independence. That's the freedom, right? That's the ability to choose what you want to do, really.
But I already do that. Yeah. So that's the problem. I've been self-employed for the past 6 years or 5 years, I guess. And I don't know if retirement would look any different than me. I would still be tweeting angry things about wealth inequality. I'd still be sharing my shopping on my Instagram stories. It's just no different.
Yeah. Maybe when your daughter is older, you can whisk her away to Disneyland without a question of yes, we'll do all the rides. And
oh, I want to do that. We're locked out because of the pandemic.
Oh, okay. Oh, but you want to do it right now.
Oh yeah, we were going to go in October, but I'm not allowed to, like, she's not vaccinated. So I don't know. So you just keep saving. The pandemic has been really good for savers and investors. You just keep saving.
That's true. That's very true. Good for you. Now, so there's this theory, and I guess the theory is that on the withdrawal.
Yeah.
So there's a 4% rule. Something like that.
Yeah.
Tell me about the 4% rule.
So the 4% rule is called the safe withdrawal rate. And essentially it's the amount that you can withdraw from your portfolio without ever making the balance go down. And when you think about it, stock market historically returns about 10% over time. Even after you account for inflation, withdrawing 4% should still give you a buffer. So you're essentially trying to build a portfolio that if you take 4% out every single year, the balance never actually goes down, but you still enjoy it
because the market on average appreciates greater than 4%.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
And I've heard of people doing like geographic arbitrage or something where they live, like the idea of like, home ownership sort of goes away when you have something like, go live somewhere that's far cheaper because you're mobile, because you're flexible, because you're not tied down to a home.
You can do all those things. I mean, that's a different issue and it's more complex and probably deserves a longer discussion on its own because a lot of those regions are very poor. That's why they're so cheap. And they're very vulnerable to climate change, which is something you have to factor in. Like, are you really going to go live on a coast in 10 years? Is that coast underwater? And and just the culture. And again, because I'm so concerned about wealth disparity, is it really fair for an affluent white person to go vacation in this community and take advantage of the cheap labor that's there for their own I have concerns about it. I understand the appeal, but I don't think it's unproblematic, I guess would be the best way to talk about it.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm not gonna dig any further into it. So the point of this podcast, your first 100K. I guess from what you've just said, the hardest part, the heaviest lifting you do is getting to your first 100K. And like it can take years to get to the first 100K, but then the speed picks up pretty quickly after that, I guess.
Yeah. $100,000 is essentially a magic number. It's my favorite target for your TFSA, your RSP. It's the name of my investing course, the 6-figure stock portfolio. And the reason that it's such a powerful number, because it typically takes people between, I would say, 6 to 10 years to accumulate their first 100,000. But once you hit that number, it grows so quickly because a $100,000 portfolio is probably producing about $3,000 a year in dividend income. That's low, 3%. So you're thinking you're getting $250 a month just deposited in the account that you can reinvest. And then it's growing by capital appreciation that can be anywhere 6 to 8 or 10%. So that's tacking on another $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 per year. And again, with like the reinvestment, it just grows so fast. It's because you can reinvest those dividends. Really, you're continuously buying more shares that it grows so much faster than like a $10,000 or a $25,000 portfolio where maybe you still have to wait a whole quarter before your dividends can buy you one more ETF, right? But once you hit 100,000, that's more than most people earn in a year. It generates the income. The dividend income is more than a lot of people can even put in savings. So it really is the number that automates a lot of your wealth growth. I mean, you'll see that my prevalent theme in finance is all like, what's the shortest way for me to get the most money? And that's the prevalent theme in everything. And if I have to work really hard for 2 years, like I said, 3 jobs, 10 jobs, whatever, if it gets me to the goal and then I'm done, like I love short timelines and then I can just coast for the rest of that's why I'm coast fire. Right. Do the hard work for a short time and then you're done.
Love it. I love that. Okay. So, only because you're such a social media guru. I don't know this person. You might obviously you know this person because you just reshared their post.
Okay.
I hope I don't butcher the name. Douglas A. Bonaparte?
Oh, Bonaparte. Yeah, Doug.
Okay, Doug. Okay.
I love
You're
Doug.
tight bros. Okay. Certified financial planner, president of Bonafide Wealth. He said the person with $100,000 in the bank and free time to enjoy their friends, family, and loved ones is wealthier than the person with $1 million in the bank and stuck at their desk on the weekend. Now I'm just gonna, because I like coffee. I'm just one of his latest tweets, and maybe this encourages others to follow this guy. He says, "Coffee is getting to be too expensive. I just paid $16 for a cup, and that's before I tip the delivery guy."
Doug is by far one of my most favorite voices in personal finance and particularly investing, because not only is he extremely intelligent investor and wealth manager, he's hilarious, and he has often very comedic insights into inflation, wealth disparity, the generational wealth gap. And I love Doug, and I agree with almost everything that he says.
Yeah. Okay.
And I laugh at everything for sure.
So to this person tuning in that is suddenly saying, "Oh my God, I need $100,000."
Yes.
What is the easiest way to start? How does one do that? There's a lot of scary language and acronyms and words, people don't understand. But when they stop listening to this podcast, what do they do? Or maybe what do they do right now if they're not driving?
They should open a tax-free savings account with a robo-advisor and then put as much money into it as they can to their contribution limit. Once you hit your contribution limit in the TFSA, then you can open a registered retirement savings plan. Same thing, put it in a robo-advisor and then work on that until you hit your 100,000. And it doesn't take much, because if you turned 18 in 2009, when the TFSA was introduced, you have 75,000. Oh, why do I not know the TFSA limit? 75,500. I think that's the limit.
I think we can forgive you for not.
Yeah. And I think it's that. My TFSA is bigger, because the nice thing about the TFSA is it grows past the limit. So put your 75,000 in your TFSA, rest into the RSP, and then leave it alone, and you're done. Yeah. So if you work really hard, you can do that in, I would say, 4 or 5 years, but it's okay if it takes you 10. The most important thing is just that you get to that milestone, because the time is going to pass anyway. It's much nicer to turn 10 years older with 6 figures in the bank than it is to just turn 10 years older.
So there's some math here, but investing $500 a month for 34 years, if there's a 9% return on average, we'll give you a nest egg of, over $1 million from a total contribution of $198,000. That's so $16 a day for 34 years, and you're a millionaire.
Yes.
And that's like just robo-advising. We're not even talking about DIY investing, right?
Right. No, a robo-advisor is the best option for most people by far, unless you actually want to be in the market and you can stomach occasionally making bad trades, as I do. Then you can go. The payoff is higher. Your returns can be higher, but the emotional cost is also higher. Yeah. And remember, we talked about every financial decision has to be a balance between your financial return and your emotional return. Robo-advisor gives you lots of peace.
Yes. I'm using a robo-advisor, and I just have my risk tolerance, and I just set it pretty aggressive.
Good.
And basically just fund it regularly. And that's all I do. And then I just check on it, and I'm like, wow, my money's making money.
I know. Isn't that the best part? That's the nice thing. And the more money you have, the more money it makes.
Right. Yes. And we need to shamelessly plug. I know we sort of said it earlier, but let's just explicitly say it. If you want to DIY invest, how would I learn to do that?
I teach an online investing course called the 6-Figure Stock Portfolio. It's just at sixfigurestockportfolio.com. And it walks you through everything from what is the stock market, what is the stock, to how do I choose my portfolio allocations? How do I optimize or minimize my income taxes? How do I rebalance my portfolio? And yeah, it's an online self-paced program that I've had for 6 years now, and we're almost at our 1,000th student. Yeah, it's been super successful. It's so fun. Everyone's having a good time, especially in these markets. So it's been great. So if you want to DIY, yeah, the 6-figure stock portfolio is ideal. It's your MBA in finance without having to actually pay for the degree and spend 2 years in school like I did.
Right. Yeah. No, I think I want to sign up. It's just the DIY investing thing like scares me.
It's not scary when you know what you're doing, which is why I teach people how to do it.
I appreciate the efforts that you've probably put into what is a probably detailed course. Is it confusing for people? It's not.
No, it's designed for beginner, because I used my experience, because I started out as a DIY investor and then I got an academic education, and I've always had a bit of a knack for turning very complex subjects into digestible material. That's why I'm so good at Twitter, because I can distill wealth inequality down to like 180 characters. And so the course is really laid out in a way that's easy to consume. I added all videos for every module this year, so you don't even have to read anything. You can just sit back and watch and learn. And no, it's very easy and very straightforward.
6-figure stockportfolio.com. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. And with that, rapid fire questions is our very last portion.
Okay.
Our first question, what is in your wallet?
I don't have a wallet right now. I'm just like putting a stack of debit cards in my purse because I broke my wallet and I haven't put a new one. That's a really embarrassing first question.
Well, so for you, because we didn't really talk about crypto at all, but I'm assuming you have like a cold wallet or something, right? Cold wallet, hard wallet?
Oh, is that the wallet that you meant?
No, not at all. I'm just talking about a regular wallet. Many people actually just don't even have a wallet anymore because
it's in your phone.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just put like my driver's license and my grocery store rewards card in a pocket of my purse, and then everything else in my phone.
Beautiful. Just don't lose your phone. A book everyone should read.
Well, I just finished Plutocrats by Chrystia Freeland, and I think I mentioned it earlier in this podcast. It's so amazing, both to get perspective on wealth inequality, but also to get to know Canada's new finance minister.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. And for someone that could someone that doesn't really if they don't want to know about money, it's still accessible? It's still of interest? It's still...
Yeah, it's less about money and more about the culture of the 0.01%.
Okay.
And that's what makes it really interesting. It's about the global elite.
Okay, I like it. Plutocrats. What was your first job and what did you learn from it?
I had to deliver flyers, as many people do, I think Wednesday and Sunday around my neighborhood. They were so heavy. It was winter. It was awful. I think I was 14 when I started that. And I just learned that I don't want to work outside ever.
These are important lessons. Yeah, good for you. Here's one I imagine you'll have lots to say about. What is a commonly held belief about your industry that you passionately disagree with?
Well, I think we went over 10
I know.
Here. Yeah, I mean, the money is morality is a big problem. Men are better investors than women is a big problem. Capitalism works. That's probably the worst misheld belief. And I say that as someone that's winning in a system that I still think is flawed. But yeah, no, the commonly misheld belief is just that what we have is working well, and it's not.
It's not. I appreciate that. And so even though you probably have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of tweets out there already, maybe it's appropriate to ask you in that frame of mind. But another frame of mind is to ask you about your billboard statement. So if someone's driving down, you're in Calgary or Edmonton or something?
Yes, Calgary, yeah.
So driving down that main highway in Calgary, if there was a billboard up there, and you could put whatever you wanted on there that everyone's going to read because they're driving past it on the highway, what is it? What does it say? What's
it would probably just say something like invest more, enjoy your life. Like those are the only two things I believe in. Put more money in the stock market, and the point is to enjoy your life.
Yes. Great. Awesome. Well, we kind of answered this question already, but I'm just going to ask it again because it's part of the rapid fire list. Is what's your number? And that's sort of to walk away from everything, financial independence, and never worry about money again.
I don't actually know. Like I said, originally my Coast Fire number was 3 million, but I can't think of any number that would make me stop working or stop doing what I do. And again, because I'm in a privileged position, like I made my career, I made my whole job. I'm my own boss. I get unlimited vacation. Well, actually, that's not true because I'm a difficult person to work for, so I shouldn't make it sound that good. It's actually very grueling. But I can't think of a number that would want to make me withdraw from the workforce. And honestly, it's because I think that I do important work in empowering people to manage their finances and educating them. And I do think it's a service that I'm happy to provide. And unless we fix like the system, so I know that everyone's taken care of, I'm not going to take myself out because I still really want to help people with their money.
That's so, yeah, you have no obligations, no shortage of money, and you continue to do what you do then.
Yeah, because in my opinion, I would say that I'm already there. If you look at it in that context, I mean, I guess I couldn't disappear to an island by myself, but then would I need money? I don't know. Yeah. But I would say I've already achieved the financial security and the life that I want with what I have. And now it really is going to be about giving back for the next 60 years.
I love it. Good for you. And so, which lends itself to the next question. What do you want to be known for when you die?
Helping dismantle toxic political and monetary policy that has held women and vulnerable populations and people of color back. So I want to be on the business side of advocacy. I'll probably never go into politics. A lot of people think that I'm pursuing a career in politics. I could not. I actually am not strong enough to do that, but I do want to remain in the business world advocating for better and more fair ways of doing business.
I look forward to your next e-course then that you develop as a result. And if people have more questions for you, where do they find you online, or how should they connect with you?
Well, I have moneyaftergraduation.com. If you're looking for anything, there's a library of over 500 posts on that website on every single topic. So you can search student loans, TFSA, whatever you're looking for. And I probably wrote 1,000 words on it. If you just want to connect with me, I'm on both Instagram and Twitter as Bridget Casey, BridgieCasey. And yeah, I mean, I post content 10 times a day, as you know. Sharing my opinion. I guess 10 times a day is probably a low estimate, but I'm always sharing both tips and my opinions about everything from gender pay gap to the latest Starbucks cut is what's going up today.
It's again, it's so refreshing to see this in personal finance and to see that to see you be so vulnerable on these platforms. And I think that it gets people involved in money who might not otherwise get involved in money because, money's boring or
we need more humans in money. It can't just be computer algorithms and the best math equation. We need people because money is for our lives. And so I try to show my life and that's what I'm doing on those platforms.
Thank you very much for being on the show, Bridget.
Of course.
And Maybe one day, hopefully, we can get you back on and stir up some more
I would love
controversy.
Thank you for listening. Thank you to Beat Chemist for providing us with our music. Find him on SoundCloud. I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your own day and investing it in yourself to get smarter about money. Head over to Ratehub.ca to learn more about making smarter financial decisions. If you want to thank us, please leave a review on Apple Podcast and follow us on Spotify. Thank you for listening. Let's help Canadians choose better with their finances.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views and opinions expressed by Ratehub employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the views of Ratehub Inc. or any of its sponsors or officials. This is for general use. We're not certified or licensed advisors.
Yeah, we just don't want to get sued.